Welcome to the Penny for Your Thoughts podcast. This is your weekly insight into the small businesses of London. We'll be talking to founders to find out what makes them tick and reveal the ins, the outs, the ups and the downs of owning a small business. Today we're going to be talking to Rob and Sam, who are the co-founders of Growth. Growth is a modern marketing agency that helps its clients gain high volumes of high quality leads. Today's chat was quite a long one, a little bit longer than normal, but we do go over some really interesting topics. We go over lean business, finding out what works, the importance of accountability and the importance of having a really great co-founder. We mentioned lots of really great books, so do stick around, give it a listen, but maybe grab yourself a cup of tea before you sit down to watch. So without further ado, let's see what they had to say. Today, guys.
Welcome.
Why don't we start by chatting about how it all began and why?
So, we were at university together. Funny story is I plan on getting a job. I always plan on getting a job. So when I started, I lived with Rob in second year, and Rob was always skipping lectures and reading Tim Ferriss articles and trying to show me the latest trend. And he's like, honestly, man, like if you join this MLM, you can make thousands like a day. I was like, nah, it's all right, man. I've got this job lined up. It's all good. Like I'm gonna get a job at Kia. And I did a placement year. I went away to do a placement year and then come back and then ended up living with Rob in my final year. And then I was a personal trainer. Did my personal training course, and then Rob was working in marketing for a sort of an entrepreneur. Right? He wanted to do his own thing. I wanted to do my own thing. So I was doing Facebook ads to get PT clients in an effort to get PT clients. So I'd run ads on Facebook. This is back in 2015. No, 2017. Yeah. 2016, 2017, when Facebook ads were considerably easier and considerably cheaper than they are now. And so I'd just run a Facebook ad to people in and around the city, and I would target like 50, 60-year-old women who had kids, and I was helping women lose weight who, postnatal weight kind of thing. I'm not sure that'd be allowed now, but back then it worked really well, and I used to get like 30, 40 people to fill out my Google form for like 20 quid. It was super cheap, and so I would call them, get them into the gym, and then sell them personal training. And then I started doing that a bit more on the side for gyms and stuff, and then Rob started to help me out, and that's because he was pretty good at a lot of stuff I wasn't so good at. So we started doing it together, and then it was coming to the end of my uni, and we had a few clients. We weren't really making much money, just enough to pay the bills really, if that.
Yeah, £500 a month or so, maybe.
Yeah, from a few people, and so we were making just enough to sort of eat and then pay the rent maybe. So we did that. And then I said to Rob, if you want to do this, because I was going to be finishing uni and I was going to be doing it full time. So I was like, if you want to do it really, you need to kind of take as much risk as me and quit really. And so he quit his job, and then we started doing it together.
You were coming up to finishing your exams in 2017, and so you were actually earning really well for students. So you were doing really well for yourself. So you were attending some of your lectures and getting £30-40.
Some being the keyword.
Yeah, some of the lectures, yeah.
As long as it's 1 in 10.
Yeah.
You were still there.
Yeah, you were.
So technically enrolled.
Yeah, you were kind of 6 months away from graduation, and you were earning 30-40 quid as a student. So you were actually living the dream as a student.
Per hour.
Yeah, and
no problem.
Yeah, that's the key.
Per hour, which is amazing for a student. And I was working for the internet marketer guy, and I really, really loved working there because I learned a ton. I just didn't agree with the business model that they have, but really, really, really nice team, nice guy. And I was learning all about marketing 9 to 5, literally building marketing funnels and campaigns, specifically direct marketing. And the whole point of direct marketing is you have an offer and you just ram an offer down people's throats in the best possible way. You're not just launching something in a sleazy way. And then you're looking for an ROI as soon as possible, basically. So you spend maybe £5,000 on ads in a day, and then you get £5,000 worth of traffic through, and you try and convert that as quickly as possible. And let's say you sell something for 5k, and 1% of 1,000 people buy. You've made 10 sales at 5k, so you've made 50k from 5k in. So that's what I kind of spent a year, I think 6 months learning, because I only worked for him for 6 months. And then Sam and I basically had a few clients, and we were maybe making £500 a month. And then Sam and I just said, look, I'm going to quit my job, and Sam's going to do a lot less PT, and we're just going to spend as much time as he can in front of our laptops and trying to learn how to acquire our own clients. Mm-hmm. So that's really how it started in 2017.
Yeah, and for 2 years, more or less, we were pretty generic Facebook marketing for
Yeah.
anyone. Like it was, if you were a gym owner, if you were, cosmetic clinic, or we even did like kids summer parks in America and stuff.
Yeah.
Random stuff.
Under 12 summer boot camps.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then we were just ticking over very gradually for ages. And then when we got to 2020, we had one client in construction who was doing just leaps and bounds more money than everyone else. He was on his own probably doing more money than all of the other clients combined. So we were thinking, there's got to be something to this, right? So we just said, oh look, this is clearly something here. So we just went into construction. That pretty much got a testimonial from him where he kind of said on the call what he was making money wise, and then we just used that to get more clients in that space, and then that's pretty much from then we just grew.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah, I think the lessons that we kind of learned from our 2 years of business was, in the beginning you have to say yes to every single opportunity, just to get the cash in, because cash really is important at all times of business, but especially when you're starting, because it's so easy to divert back to the norm and just go get a job. So we saved as much cash as we could, and literally 90% of what we were working from our flats. We didn't really have an office at all. We didn't really spend any of the company money. Even when we got that big consulting client, the £300 million revenue company, and we asked some advice for some people, and we kind of said, we're thinking of charging this, and they were like, triple that. And then so we really tentatively gave this company a proposal, and then they said, yeah, no worries, signed it straight away, sent us the money, and we were like, oh shit. But we saved every single penny of that. And then we actually really did well in reinvesting. So we bought courses for £200, £500, £1,000, £2,000, even one for £7,000 or something. And the people should not have sold that course who sold that course to us. But we were one of the very few people that actually had nothing else to do in our lives apart from just sit up till 2 a.m. every single day and study what we had to study. But the biggest lessons were save every penny we possibly could in the first 2 years and say yes to everything, and then wait until you've got a deep enough expertise in one area where you can actually know more than the vast majority of people, or supposedly consultants and experts, and in our case marketing agencies, in order for us to then go really wide and then niche down something very specific. So we niche down into home improvements right at an opportune time of lockdown, when we lost all of our clients that relied on natural footfall. So we had lots of cosmetics clinics who relied on natural footfall, people coming through the door. We had lots of gyms as well. We pretty much lost all those within the same few week period, and then instead we just pivoted the agency, and then luckily we had 6 months cash in the bank because our costs were low and we saved all the money we had, and then we were able to kind of sustain a few lower revenue months but actually really niche down and specialise in home improvements, and that's where we've been since March 2020.
So do you guys think that the pandemic was actually a bit of a blessing in disguise?
Kind of like a big opportunity and a big doorway that opened that says, go and specialise in this. But at any time, in order to have success, you just need to know more about the other person than you're sitting opposite, and then they need to have a big enough problem and pain point, and they either need to realise that pain point, or you need to know that they have that pain point but they don't yet know how to solve it for themselves, and then you need to enlighten them on the topic and let them know that, hey, you have this pain point and I can solve this for you because I'm an expert. And then it's amazing if you can demonstrate 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 100 ways how you've already done this for other customers. And we didn't quite have that at that point. So yes, COVID said, hey guys, big opportunity, all these home improvement companies need all this work because their work's about to go like that, because during COVID nobody went on holiday, nobody internationally or domestically, you couldn't go on holiday really, and she had a holiday home in the same country. So everybody, rather than going on their £5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand holiday, they spent 5, 10 or 20 grand on a new conservatory or a new garden room. So we were opportune. We were lucky in that home improvements was about to go like this, but at any time, there's always going to be problems with your customers. And again, in the beginning, we said yes to everything, and we said, yes, please give us the work. And then after a while, we pivoted and went very specific. So there's always a time where you can get very, very, very specific and really hone down on one specific problem from one unique customer avatar. And then you can demonstrate that you can solve the problem better than anybody else. All of a sudden is when you have expertise there, and people start paying you for that to solve the problem.
So I know you guys are always constantly looking for ways to improve, simplify, kind of make things smaller, leaner in your business. Why do you think that's important, and why is that something that you guys focus on so much?
I'm more of I say no to everything, but I also kind of say yes to everything at the same time. That's not really, doesn't make sense, but I'll come to you with 1,000 new ideas, and then you'll be like, no, most of those are crap. But I think so from a ideas point of view, I think we're quite good at generating lots of ideas and then between us saying yes and no.
Yeah.
But we also hold ourselves very accountable to what ideas we really take on and really run with, and they have to be inside our wheelhouse, and they have to basically be the main thing, which is for us, it's delivering a better customer experience. So every single step of the way, if this thing isn't delivering a better customer experience, we really need to question why we're doing it. And delivering a better customer experience can be as indirect as you like. It might take 6 months, a year to come to fruition and actually develop into a direct result for our customers. For example, hiring a new employee, really for the first 3 to 6 months, it's just training and you kind of feeling each other out and learning. But then after that point, you can actually start to maybe on a graph, you can see that you really get some benefit. But I think we're quite good at staying lean and frugal in ways that when we need to spend money on the main, and if it directly improves the main thing, which is providing a better customer experience, I think we do a good job of that. But if it's not helping the main thing, then we're also very good at saying no, that we can't do that. And I think we come up with different ideas at the same time, and then we both have complete openness to saying no to each other when we think it's a bad idea, and we both have to absolutely unanimously agree on something.
Do you think it's always been like that, or do you think that's something you learned more recently?
You know, Andy and Ollie always said that we're really lucky to have each other. I never really got what they meant until like kind of about 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and I've kind of got to know other business partners and see the problems they've had, because then we kind of realised, actually having a good business partner is very, very lucky.
Yeah, you just got to, you can't do everything. So having a very simple business model, I think I just don't know why you'd want it any other way.
Yeah.
Like, why would you try and do YouTube, Google, SEO when you're really good at Google?
Mm-hmm.
And you know Google works. When you've got 50 employees, you can do that, but there's no need to overcomplicate a business. It doesn't need to be that complicated. It's really not that complicated, actually.
Yeah.
So just keeping it simple, it makes me sleep better at night, and
Yeah.
probably as well.
Yeah.
And probably everyone at work.
Yeah. Less is more. Less is more.
Yeah,
I really,
exactly.
really believe less is more.
Yeah.
And what do you think, going back to the business partners thing, what do you think are the best sort of qualities that you guys have in each other, or do you think are the most important qualities to having a business partner?
Work ethic.
The same work ethic?
If you're not working as hard as your business partner, or your business partner feels like you're working harder, he's working harder than you, or vice versa, then especially in the early stages, it's just going to cause problems.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that, especially, it depends what stage of business you are, but I 100% agree. In the first few years or whatever, when you're saying yes to everything, and unless you're like a software as a service company and then you've got $10 million to develop this specific problem, this specific industry and a really specific problem, if you're two guys starting out or two girls starting out or whatever, I think both having the same work ethic and keeping each other accountable to getting everything you've done, and also, so it's a slight tangent, but one of the best things we ever did was Sam actually was bothering some mentor online, or some guy that became a mentor online, Ollie, and then this Ollie guy was kind of one of our mentors now, who owns 5% of the company. He was like to Sam, just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, I get that you're a young guy, you want to start a business, so he kind of gave Sam a task to do, and then Sam came to me and said, we've got to do this task and smash it out, and I just was like, okay, let's do it. And then so we did this task for these two guys called Andy and Ollie, and then you then went back to them and said, I've done this next task too. I've done the task, what next? And they were like, he's actually done what we said to do. And he just gave us another task, and he kind of threw us another bone, and then a bit of a bigger bone, then we went and did that. And then he was like, oh my God, these guys won't go away. And then so we kind of got their attention, and I said, that's all from work ethic, wasn't it? That was just doing what you say you're going to do and actually doing the best job you can.
You guys have been working together for a few years. What do you think your specific roles are, and how did you find out what you guys are best at individually, and how do you divide yourselves between the company?
I think in the beginning stages you just do everything, you both do everything.
Yeah.
And then eventually you have to kind of splinter yourselves off into certain areas, mainly just because of ownership. If neither one of you has ownership over something, then it's not going to get done. So you have a meeting and you set some goals or some projects or whatever, and if we put Sam/Rob on like owner of the task, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So you have to have areas that you're in control of, and it ultimately comes down to you. In partnerships, if you have a business owner and then you have some managers underneath, then it's obviously a little bit of a different scenario. But in our business, that's just how we do it. And I've just I'm naturally not particularly process orientated person. I don't look at a problem and think, oh, how can I, automate things to make this easier for myself. It's just not really how I do things. I prefer marketing. I prefer being creative, and I do quite like selling to a degree. I'm not like I'm amazing at it, but I feel like that's definitely a stronger point for me. Whereas Rob's pretty good at sitting down and figuring how to make things more efficient and automate as much as possible. It's not really my wheelhouse, so it sort of fell into that way really. Mm-hmm. And then Ollie and Andy, who again are sort of mentors for us, I remember them telling us, you need to take 100% ownership of this, you need to take 100% ownership of this. And at the time, we were both doing a bit of sales, trying to do a bit of content, and he was like, you need to do content and sales to me. And then he was like, and you need to do in like operations. So like at the time it was, until we had too many for it just to be Rob, it was managing client communications, in internal processes, and I was just doing marketing, emails, and sales. And then it got much better when we did that.
Yeah, I think you're really amazing when you've got some structure around exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just like you got like shredded outside of the gym. You just followed a structure. You just stuck to it. So you're really dedicated and committed when you've got a structure to follow. Mm-hmm. And I think what I probably learned as best, and it was probably science throughout my life that I like this sort of stuff, but lots of science. I like to build things. So I did a lot more of the internal stuff. So I looked at some softwares that would massively reduce a lot of the biggest problems that companies like us have. So what I kind of asked myself was, what problems do companies have? And there's all the internet's got every answer you want. I think Elon Musk says that you can pretty much learn anything you want from the internet. So if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us. So I kind of researched what the biggest problems industry agencies have. And I saw some guy in the comments be like, oh my God, onboarding takes me like 2 weeks to do. And I was like, well, that's probably not good. So I think I built an onboarding process which was took maybe 2 or 3 days to build, with some different softwares, and it kind of sends the customer to fill in a form and then book in a call, and then it's a pre-recorded videos which tells them what to do. So that's just an example of what I'm probably best at, is building things. And I also think we're good at making decisions. But I think we make decisions in a slightly different way, and different areas of the business, I'd say. Yeah. When you need to make let's say we need to make some revenue, you need to do some email blasts, then that your structure kind of allows you to automate that decision. Like it's automatically, I need to hit this target. And then I think I'm more of maybe a holistic thinker, and thinking what big problems are we having, and then how can we solve those problems. And then I come to Sam, and then Sam's like, no, that's a bad idea, but that's a good idea. Let's both feel that idea out a bit more. But so he's good at that stuff, I'm good at this stuff, but then we still bounce off each other all the time. But I think invariably there is one that does, you could almost say that there's one that actually does more work than the other if you kind of look on any single day. Yeah. Any single day, you'd be like, well, you just made a sale Friday, you made another sale today, you've got another. So at the moment, who's bringing all the revenue in right now? You could argue it is you. But I don't think there's any ego around that.
Revenue is only like, so we've had this conversation before with salespeople and everything. It's like, if you think you're bringing in the revenue, you're not, because they wouldn't buy it if it wasn't good. They wouldn't stick around and keep paying us if we were crap. So it's a machine, and it doesn't work right. It all has to work together. And I'd say one thing that Rob did, which was quite funny. We used to pay, but back in the day, we were less experienced with these sorts of things, and we were paying this freelancer like 800 quid a month to basically take the like new client information, create all of their Google Drives, all of their folders, all of their like everything, all of the analytical stuff, and then Rob was like, nah, this is silly. And then he spent like a few hours just using Zapier, which is this like automations tool, and basically automates this guy's complete job. So as soon as the guy filled in the form, the new client filled in the application form, it would just create all that stuff anyway. Like it would just automatically create the Google Drives, name it properly, create a briefing document, create all the creative assets folders, do all the accesses that they needed, and just that right there saves so much money and time.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at your thing,
that was awkward when we got him on the call.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just business in the day, isn't it? But it's like, yeah, if you can look at your business and think, what could be automated here, you might as well automate it. Otherwise, like, if it might take you 3 hours to save a 20-minute task that you do every 3 days, but if you look over a year, you're wasting like a day.
Yeah.
Doing something.
Lots of people say if you do it twice, write it down. Yeah. Because it's going to come up again. And also what you're saying about clients paying again. Clients vote. I remember I read it before. Clients vote, or people vote with their dollars or vote with their pounds. So clients might pay for something once, but as soon as you've got somebody paying something again, you could argue that now you've got a product that actually people will keep paying for, and there's no reason why they should stop unless the value that they're receiving from your product no longer exceeds the price they're paying. So if this is the price, this is the value needs to constantly be more than the price. And as soon as, let's say, the value starts dropping and you don't reply to emails as quick or your service isn't as good, the customers perceive the value going down, and then as soon as it meets the price, and it dips below, then they're gonna stop paying for your value that you're providing because the price isn't worth it.
There's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which I don't think Rob's read it yet, but I think I've told him basically everything in there anyway. So it's really good, and it's basically about there's like two types of oceans. There's like red oceans, which is shark infested waters, everyone's competing. Like the premise is the shark infested waters are competing, and if you look at I don't know, double glazing, there's loads of people doing it, right? You're basically going to go with the cheapest person, whoever can do it the cheapest and the quickest. You're going to choose them. Same with a corner shop. They also have Diet Coke for 99p, right? Whichever one's closer you're going to go to, or whichever one's cheaper you're going to go to.
Yeah.
That's it. But decommoditizing is about figuring out how you can just walk into a blue ocean rather than being in a red ocean. So creating a product that people will actually pay a premium for. And I think that's sort of half the battle, really.
On what you're saying there, though, how Amazon decommoditized themselves and put them in a blue ocean is that they said that people fast beats free. So if you can have free shipping but it gets here in 6 weeks, you would actually pay $7.99 for Amazon Prime, but it gets here tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So fast beats free. So actually people will pay for a premium service. You just need to again prove that value is higher. So I think there's 4 ways that Jeff Bezos says is convenience. So the widest selection, the prices, the speed of shipping, and there's another one as well. But if you kind of look at one of those, can you get your products to them quicker? So can you deliver the core product value? Let's say that there's a haircut. Let's say there's a new haircut invention that you literally put your head in and it automatically cuts it, and out of 30 seconds you've got a perfect buzz cut.
Yeah.
Or would you rather sit there for 45 minutes and get a buzz cut? You would probably, as long as it's completely safe, get that buzz cut in 45 seconds.
No, that makes sense.
That would be an example of I'm quite proud of myself. I'm getting on the spot. That would be an example of a blue ocean strategy or blue ocean where you can completely change your market.
There is actually an example. There is actually a case study in Blue Ocean Strategy about barbershop.
Is there?
Yeah, because barbershops didn't used to be this way.
He really did tell me everything about it.
Barbershops used to be like hair salons where you'd go in there, you'd get like they'd sit you down, ask what you want, they'd wash your hair, they'd dry your hair, it'd be like a 45 to an hour long, like booked in process. Don't quote me on this, but it's in the book. And then one barbershop opened a barbershop where it was like in and out within 20 minutes. That was kind of their angle. They're like, come in and we'll cut your hair within 20 minutes, so you won't have to wait.
And it's still with the same quality of haircut.
Maybe slightly less, but people didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, what do men actually care about? They didn't care about that stuff. They only cared about having a haircut and how long it took. So, and that's the same with builders, construction. They just care about leads and they care about sales. They don't really care about anything else.
Yeah.
So you can do SEO, you can do branding, you can do all this stuff that costs you lots of money to do if you want, but they're still not going to keep paying you if it's not getting them leads or sales.
Yeah, exactly. Henry Ford said that if he went and asked his customers what they wanted, they would say a faster horse, and they didn't know that they needed a Model T. One thing you're saying about there is kind of features over benefits, and again, one of my favourite terms from Chamath Palihapitiya is all about core product value. So Facebook back in 2008, after billions or millions of pounds of testing, realised that the number one metric in their company wasn't ridiculous formulas and K-factors and physics diagrams, whatever. It was get any person 7 friends in 10 days and they'll basically stay for life. So when you can get your business to a point where you understand what your core product is and you consistently double down on that every single opportunity you keep that the main thing, then if another company has all these fancy features over there, then they won't care about your competitor because you double down on the main thing. And you can example that of, let's say you hire a new employee to do sales, and he was also the world's fastest origami folding champion, and then you hire him, but he's doing sales, but he's also the world's fastest origami champion. With all due respect, nobody cares. Your job is to hire the person, the best at sales. So when you hire someone that says, but they're also really good at accounting and they're really good at X and Y and Z, with all due respect, they're features, not core product value. They're nice things to have, they're nice to have, but what the main thing is that you're buying. So we're always remembering that what's the main service you provide, double, triple down on that as much as you can, and everything else is background noise, in my opinion.
Blue Ocean Strategy is a good book. If you're starting a business, I think it's a good book to read because there's so many businesses now, and you don't really have an option other than to create your own sort of micro niche.
Yeah.
And figure out who you serve.
Yeah. If I was to recommend any book, it would be any resource. There's a YouTube video by Chamath Palihapitiya, filmed from 2011, and it's something along the lines of what put Facebook on the map, what put Facebook on the path to 1 billion users.
Yeah, we'll link it.
Yeah, I'll link that. It's the most amazing free resource you can ever find. It's worth millions, I'd say. It's incredible. That's it.
Yeah.
Resource.
On the topic, I know you guys are constantly reading a book. What's your top one that you'd recommend, apart from the one you've just told us?
Book?
Yeah, top book that you'd recommend.
I mean, depends.
People
like,
watching.
the best book I ever read was 4 Hour Work Week, because it just filled me with ideas.
That's good.
And it made me want to quit not work ever again.
I think books again is kind of that features versus benefits thing, and actually a lot of the best books. I remember watching. We paid for quite an expensive course, and we got access to some videos. And I remember that the main guy, who's worth millions, said that he kind of went to his audience of like 20 people in the room who paid hundreds of thousands to be there. He said, you know what, actually we always end up doing in every single one of these masterminds with all business owners that are making more than say 5-10 million a year. He says we always end up talking about the most basic human things. How much do you sleep? When do you eat? What time do you work? It's never actually doubling down into, how do I hire people better? Of course, then those things need to be spoken about. But there's always a book that you can go and read. And actually, I think the best thing possible you can do is cement yourself with a really strong base of a good working a life outside of work. So can you get up and roughly at the same time for a while? Can you eat the same foods? And can you kind of get yourself as a person optimized first? And there's that whole kind of Navy SEAL video of like, wake up and do your bed the very first thing. But that principle, I think, for the first few years is if you can become the person you need to become in order to achieve success in whatever it is you want to do, then you will then pick up the right books and read the right books. And it's time under tension as well. So spend a long enough time in something, you'll become an expert, and then you read the right books. So I haven't necessarily really recommend one.
There's obviously books we could recommend, but however you like to take your information and just do that. You don't have to read. People makes you realise how poor people's communication is.
Yeah.
90% of people can't communicate very well, and they're not very emotionally intelligent. And that sounds rude, but I wasn't very emotionally intelligent before I started, and I'm still not in some areas, but once you read that book, it teaches you a lot about how to actually communicate with somebody. Yeah. And people like all day, every day have situations where they could talk themselves into a better scenario or out of a bad one, and they just don't know how. Yeah. So I think if you're going to go into business or you're in business, getting a bit better at communicating isn't going to do you any harm. Rob and I know this, we use this a lot, but there's a tactic which is called disarming, basically. So if someone wants a refund, you tell them it could be a refund or it could be anything. Right, and you just say, by the way, I'm totally okay with that outcome. Like, if you want a refund, I'll transfer the money by the end of this phone call, but can we explore some other options?
Yeah, the money be accounted in 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And as soon as they know that, they're completely disarmed, and then they come ready for a fight, and suddenly they're now ready for a conversation. You have a boss who you perform poorly on a project. If you go in there and say, you probably want to chat about my poor performance in this project. That boss is going to be like, oh yeah, I do want to talk about that. And they're suddenly it's completely disarmed.
Yeah,
so you just label the exact problem that we've got, and you've got you're not apologetic about it.
And then you go, I can imagine you're a bit unsatisfied with my performance.
The
boss will be like, I want to give you a raise. I'm giving you a raise, Jesus
But just
Christ.
like calling out the problem, it's there's no point ignoring it. Like, don't ignore it, just call it out, it's there.
I think the cap off the answer to this is that what we've both gone on for 10, 20 an hour, however long that was your ability to communicate with people is probably the most important thing. Every other small business problem you will have, which will be operations or it's sales or it'll be customer service or it'll be internal operations, I think they're pretty much the main areas, or accounting. You can all go find 2 or 3 good, really great books for those. But the one we really believe in, I think most people say, and we've heard people who have many millions, they always end up talking about the basic stuff of becoming a better human in terms of your basic stuffs and having an amazing communication with people. So I'd say those 2 first, and any specific problems you can go to Amazon and find a bestseller in.
That brings us on to the question that was actually left for you guys from Olivia, who was here previously, and her question to you was, what is the end goal of your whole business?
So I think that I've slowly realised that I want to help people become more accountable in their lives. So this business is one, the reason why I got into business first was one, because the opportunity with Sam to quit my job, and then Sam and I started working together and started coming a few years ago, But I've always had a really small family when I was younger, so I love the idea of kind of having great friends and family. So the reason why I'm in business basically is to have an extended version of my family. And some people said, oh, it's not really going to work because you're their boss and there's always going to be that boss thingy dynamic, but I don't necessarily agree with that. So my first answer is just to kind of have a bigger, greater family, and most of my friends and family come from kind of professional and kind of entrepreneurship as business. But then my second answer is that I think this business will serve as a cash cow for whatever Sam and I choose to do next. But I've kind of got a passion project which will materialise in the future, which is probably helping people stay more accountable in their lives. And then we'll use the exact same business model that we did here. We will get very specific with one specific customer avatar, and we'll say we're going to help these people more accountable with this. It could be we're going to help artists create more of their art by using their phone less, and then we're going to hold them accountable to that. I've already bought the domain accountable.club. So the business will be a cash cow to serve the next projects, but also have an amazing business now, it doesn't matter how small it is. It could be 2 of us, it could be 10 of us. Right now it's 7 of us or 6 of us. Just have really, really, really fun, a lot of fun on the inside, make money and do good.
Yeah, we don't have like a exit plan. That's what we are. We mean like, well, we haven't. A lot of businesses do.
Lots of people in here just want to sell the business.
Yeah. I mean,
go buy a house in Chelsea.
Maybe we will. I don't know. Like, we'll see when that situation comes around, I suppose. But for me, I don't really have an answer to that question because just for me, it's better than having a job currently.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's much more interesting.
Yeah.
We have control over everything, and also people that work with us they all have control over what they're doing, and if they want to try something new, they can. And I've worked in jobs before where I've just hated it. It's just been awful. Like I had a sandwich year course where I did a year in a big company, and it was just dreadful. I just had to wear a shirt and tie every day, and I'd sit on a computer, and some days I'd just be really, really bored. Nothing was interesting about it.
IKEA.
Yeah, no one was motivated really to work. Maybe apart from the directors, even them, they didn't seem that motivated, and it was just terrible. I just didn't like it at all, and I wanted to avoid that. But then you can get really good jobs with really good companies. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and sprout saying that everyone should be an entrepreneur because it's just not factually sound. But I think that people that work for us enjoy it, and I think we create a pretty good working environment. So you can have really good working environments.
Yeah.
There's loads of great companies to work for.
Yeah, on Positive Focus, Sarah this morning said that we will kind of do a Positive Focus every morning. So to start the day off in a nice way, we kind of say 3 things we're grateful for on whatever, and then we kind of make up the questions as we go along.
And that's a call you do every morning.
Every morning at 8:30. Yeah. Sarah did say one of the things this morning is that I'm really grateful for the work environment, and that I think probably means more than anything because I think Sam and I do want to create in a motivating, inspiring environment. Because it's amazing when you're around people that do inspire you in the smallest ways, and I think the best way to inspire people is to lead by action.
Yes, today, guys, I think that's pretty much everything. Unless there's anything else that you have to say to round off the conversation.
If you're a builder, you need project work done.
Of course.
Use growth.com.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
I think the main thing is just becoming a better person personally, and really, one thing I would say is make a plan for yourself and just try your very, very hardest to stick to it. Like, print it off, text it to a friend. If you've got the balls, post it on social media, and just tell everyone what you're going to do, and just try and get some sense of accountability in your life. There's something I believe there's something wrong with if you really, really want to do something and become a better person, and then let's say you're on your deathbed at night and you think, fuck, I really wish I started that business when I was younger, or I really wish I quit my job. Because I remember walking with John when I quit my job. And I was walking in a car park with him, and then I was like, do I do it now? How do I do it now? And I was like, John, I think I'm going to quit a job and become a freelancer. And he was like, great, good luck. Good luck. He's like, yeah, no, I can't stop you. Just make a decision to make a micro commitment to yourself, and then whatever it is, whether it's becoming the manager at Tesco's or whatever it is, if you want something, break it down into a micro commitment, and then just try and make a small change in the next 24 hours, and you'll be surprised. And even if you don't do it in a year's time or whatever, just that tiny change in 24 hours, I believe, is where it starts.
I mean, they say that's like the biggest regret of the dying, don't they? That not taking
living life on your own terms, isn't it?
It's not living a life that's true to yourself. That's kind of what you're saying, really.
I really believe, and it doesn't matter if you want to go earn £1,000 and live on a beach. Or 200 quid selling food on the beach or something, or if you want to be a CEO of Disney or something. Try and get yourself on the path, but start in a tiny way.
Also, just put 100% into everything you do, even if you're paid by the hour.
Yeah.
Nothing bad comes from working hard. You're never going to think, oh, I wish I hadn't worked so hard at that job. Do you know what I mean? No one ever regrets that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just put in the effort, and you know, good things will come up your way, I think.
Yeah, and if you don't enjoy your job, start taking more action around how you want to leave your job. And if you're in a job you don't enjoy it, just read 4-Hour Workweek. It'll tell you everything you need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
True. Cool.
All right. Well, good chat.
Good chat.
Yeah, good chat.
I'm sure everyone's learned a lot from you guys today.
Hopefully. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you.